Welcome, YouTubers, to another episode in my Grammar Hero series. In this video, I'm going to go through 10 hard practice test questions that should closely mirror what you should expect to see in the mathematics knowledge, as well as the arithmetic reasoning subtest of both the ASVAB, that is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, as well as the PiCAT, that is the Pre-Screening Internet Delivered Computer Adaptive Test. In order to get the most from this video, of course, you'll want to pause the video before I read a question, attempt to work out the question on your own, and then resume playing the video to check your solution. As a reminder, on the actual ASVAB and PiCAT, you're not permitted to use a calculator or a reference sheet. So as you work your way through these practice test questions, try not to use any of those resources. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and get started with these practice test questions. This first question says, what is the area of the shaded section of the figure below? Use 3.14 for pi. So if we look at our figure here, you should see that we have a rectangle, and inside that rectangle we have two circles that are identical. In order to find the area of the shaded section of this figure, we're going to find the area of the rectangle, and from that we're going to subtract 2 times the area of one of the circles. Again, these circles are identical, so we only have to find the area of one of them and multiply it by 2. How do you find the area of a rectangle? It's length times width. How do you find the area of a circle? It's pi r squared. Again, you don't get a reference sheet for this test, so you have to know those formulas. What is the length and width of this rectangle? It's 20 and 10, so this is 20 times 10. What is the radius of our circle? It's right here, it's 5, so this is 5 squared. Let's keep working this out. This is 200 minus 5 squared is 5 times 5 or 25, 2 times 25 pi. This becomes 200 minus 50 pi. Now let's go ahead and plug in 3.14 for pi. So this is 50 times 3.14. Going to go ahead and work that off to the side. We have 3.14 times 50. Move our decimal place 2 times to the right to make this 314 times 50, albeit with 2 decimals to move back in at the end when we're done. This whole top row is going to be zeros. Add a 0 placeholder. 5 times 4 is 20, carry a 2. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. So this is going to be 157. Bring our 2 decimals back in. So this becomes 200 minus 157, which is going to be 43. The answer is D, 43 square inches. Why is it square inches? Because we found the area. And if you couldn't do 200 minus 157, you could do it off to the side. 0 minus 7 you can't do. You have to borrow. You can't borrow from a 0, so this becomes 1, this becomes 10. This becomes 9, this becomes 10. This is 3, this is 4, and that is nothing. The second question says, Jamie just bought 2 boxes. The first box is square, with each side measuring 10 units, and it is 4 units high. The second box is rectangular and has twice the volume of the square box. If the height of the second box is 5 units and the width is 10 units, what is the length of the second box? So for this problem, it should be pretty obvious that we're comparing the volume of 2 rectangular prisms. And how do you find the volume of rectangular prisms? Simply length times width times height. And that's going to be the case for both of these. All right. And in addition, we're told that the volume of the second box is twice the volume of this first box. Let's fill in what we know about this first box. We know its length and width are 10. So this is 10 by 10. And its height is 4. So what is its total volume? 10 times 10 is 100 times 4 is 400. All right, let's fill in what we know about this second box, of course. We know that it has a height of 5 and a width of 10, and we don't know what its length is. That said, we know its volume is twice the volume of this first box. 400 times 2 is going to be 800. So all we have to do is solve this for length over here. Let's work this out. This becomes 800 equals length times 10 times 5 is 50, of course. Divide both sides by 50 to get length by itself. This crosses out, leaving you with length over here. 800 divided by 50. Let's think about this. We can cross out these corresponding zeros. So this becomes 80 divided by 5. Well, 40 divided by 5 would be uh, 8. Therefore, 80 divided by 5 is going to be double that, 16. So the length of this second box is going to be C, 16 units. This third problem says, what is the cost of mailing a package that weighs 2 pounds, 3 ounces if it costs $1.50 plus 5 cents for each ounce over 6 ounces? So the first thing we have to do for this problem is take our 2 pounds and 3 ounces and convert that to be in 1 unit, notably into pounds. And for this one, I want to point this out. There are 16 ounces in 1 pound. So let's go ahead and convert this 2 pounds to ounces. We're going to do 16 times 2 to do that. That's going to be 32. All right, so 2 pounds is 32 ounces plus our 3 ounces over here. Our package weighs 35 ounces. All right, now that we've made that conversion, let's go back and take a look at this question. Cost $1.50 to mail the package, so we know we're going to pay $1.50 no matter what, plus 5 cents for each ounce over 6 ounces. All right, so uh, let's go ahead and subtract out our 6 ounces from 35. 35 minus 6 is going to be 29 ounces. So our package is 29 ounces more than the 6 ounces. So now we have to do 29 times 0.05 to calculate the rest it's going to cost to mail this package. Move our decimal 2 places to the right to make this 29 times 5 with no decimal, but we'll move our 2 decimal places back in at the end when we're done. 9 times 5 is going to be 45, carry a 4. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. Move our 2 decimals back in, 1, 2. So it's going to cost an additional $1.45. Let's add this up. This is 592. So in total, it's going to cost B $2.95 to mail this package. Number 4 says Sean purchased a shirt for $22.05. If this includes a 5% sales tax, what was the actual price of the shirt? So let's think about it this way. The total price of the shirt is going to be the original price of the shirt, which we don't know, plus the taxable amount times the original price of this shirt. All right, what is the total price including with tax? That's 22.05. What is the original price of the shirt? We don't know, so let's call that X. What is the taxable amount? Well, we know we paid 5% in sales tax, so that's 0.05. And again, what is the original price? That's unknown, so we'll call that X. Technically, there's a 1 in front of this X, so this becomes 22.05 equals. Now let's simplify this by combining these terms. 1x plus 0.05x is going to be 1.05x, where x is the original price, of course. To solve for the original price, which is what we're trying to figure out in this case, all we have to do is divide both sides by 1.05 right now, and that leaves us with x on this side. Here we have to do some long division if you can't do this one mentally. This says 22.05 divided by 1.05. When you do division where there's a decimal outside the division bracket, you have to move that decimal 2 times to clear it. And you have to move that decimal that's inside the division bracket a corresponding number of times, 1, 2. So this problem becomes this, as you can see there's no more decimals. Now let's do this long division. It's going to be pretty simple. 105 goes into 220 uh, 2 times without going over. 105 times 2 is going to be 210. 220 minus 210 is 10. Drop down this 5. 105 times 1 is exactly 105, so there is no remainder. In other words, X, or the original price of the shirt, is going to be C, $21. Number 5 says, how much will it cost to put hardwood floors in a room that is 15 feet long and 12 feet wide if hardwood flooring costs $44.25 per square yard? So right away, you should recognize that we're given a cost in terms of square yards, but we're given dimensions of the room in terms of feet. So for this one, we're going to start by making a conversion from feet to yards. And for that, you have to know that there are 3 feet in every yard. So a 15-foot by 12-foot room can be converted to yards by dividing both of these by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, so that's 5 yards, by 12 divided by 3 is 4 yards. Again, our cost is given in terms of square yards, so the area of our room is 5 by 4 yards, are just 20 yards. So to find our cost, we're going to do 44.25 times 20. Of course, we got to move this decimal 2 times to the right to make this 44.25 times 20, albeit with 2 decimals to move back into our answer at the end when we're done. This first row is going to be nothing but zeros, so let's add 4 zeros to get started. Add a 0 placeholder. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry a 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is going to be 5. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 2 is 8. Let's add all this up. This is 885. Bring in our 2 decimals. So the cost to put hardwood floors in this room is $885. Number 6 says a steamboat can go twice as fast downstream as it can go upstream and 3/4 as fast upstream as it can go in calm water. If it can go 30 miles per hour downstream, how long will it take to travel 40 miles in calm water? So for this one, you should recognize that we have all the elements of the distance formula. Again, the distance formula says distance equals rate times time. Specifically, if we look at the last part of this question, it says how long? How long is t? So we're going to be solving for t. Will it take to travel 40 miles? 40 miles is distance. All right, so we know d is going to be 40. We know we're solving for t, but that said, we're not given the rate in this problem explicitly. We're told its rate as it goes uh, downstream, that is 30 miles per hour downstream, but we got to figure out what its rate is in calm water. So let's take a closer look at our rates here. We have 3 conditions. We have calm water, we have upstream, and we have downstream. All right, so all these are unknown. I'm going to call the rate of this steamboat in calm water x. And let's work backwards here. It could go 3/4 as fast upstream as it can go in calm water. So that would be 3/4 x. And it can go twice as fast downstream as it can go upstream. So that would be 3/4 x times 2. And let's work this out. And I'm going to do this over here. We have 3/4 times 2. Place this over 1. Multiply straight across. This is 3 times 2 or 6. 4 times 1 is 4. So in other words, it can go 6/4x downstream. All right, let's go back here for a second. It can go 30 miles per hour downstream. So this 6/4x is equal to 30 miles per hour. That said, if we solve this for x, what will we have? We will have its rate in calm water. So let's solve this little equation for x. To do that, we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 6/4, which is going to be 4/6. We're going to do that over here as well. This crosses out here and here, which leaves you with just x on this side. Let's place this over 1 so we could just multiply straight across. 30 times 4 is going to be 120. 6 times 1 is 6. 120 divided by 6 is 20. All right, so the rate that our steamboat travels in calm water is going to be 20 miles per hour. Let's plug that in over here now. This is 20t. Divide both sides by 20 to get t by itself. This crosses out, leaving you with t over here. 40 divided by 20 is 2. So in other words, it's going to take this steamboat 2 hours to travel 40 miles in calm water. And of course, we now know it goes 20 miles per hour in calm water. Number 7 says tiling costs $2.55 per square foot. What is the cost to tile a kitchen whose dimensions are 4 yards by 5 yards? Well, right away, you should see that we're given something in terms of feet and something in terms of yards again. So right away, we want to make a conversion. Specifically, in this case, we want to convert our yards to be in terms of feet. Again, there are 3 feet in every yard. So 4 yards by 5 yards can be converted to feet by multiplying both of these by 3. 4 times 3 is 12, so this is 12 feet by 5 times 3 is 15 feet. Of course, let's look at our cost. It's $2.55 per square foot. So the next thing we're going to do is 15 times 12 to get the area of our kitchen, which is a rectangle. This is 5 times 2, which is 10, carry a 1. 2, 3, add a 0 placeholder, 5, 1. This is going to be 180. So our kitchen has an area of 180 square feet. To calculate the total cost, we're going to do 255 times 180. We've got to move our decimal place 2 times to the right to make this 255 with no decimal times 180. And then once we work that out, we'll move our 2 decimals back in. This whole top row is going to be zeros. Add a 0 placeholder. 8 times 5 is 40, carry a 4. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 is 44, carry a 4. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 4 is 20. Add 2 0 placeholders. This is 5, 5, 2. Add this all up. 0, 0, 9, 5, 4. Bring in our 2 decimals. So it's going to cost $459 to tile this kitchen. Number 8 says a pet store had 6 puppies selling for $104 each and 12 kittens selling for $24 each. Today, only 2 puppies and 8 kittens were left. In dollar terms, what was the ratio of sales of puppies to kittens? So the first thing we have to figure out is how many puppies were sold. We started with 6, and there's only 2 left in the store, so that means 4 were sold. Again, 4 were sold at $104 each. So by doing 4 times 104, that's going to give us the total sales of puppies. We started with 6 kittens. There's 8 left. 12 minus 8 means that 4 were sold. To find the number of sales for kittens, we're going to do 4 times 24. So this is a ratio of the sales of puppies to kittens right here. That said, we do have to reduce this ratio. Right away, you should notice that we can divide both of these by 4, which will enable us to cross these out. This leaves us with 104 to 24. Now all we have to do is reduce this ratio to match one of our answer choices. Of course, most people won't see this one right away. Most people would say, well, both of these are divisible by 2. Uh, 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we can reduce this to 52. 24 divided by 2 is 12. And once again, people would say, well, both of these must be divisible by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 52 divided by 2. If you can't do that mentally, you would say this is going to be 2, 4, 1. This is going to be 26 to 6. And then once again, you would say both of these are divisible by 2. 26 divided by 2 is 13. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this ratio of sales of puppies to kittens reduces to A, 13 to 3. Number 9 says, if the ratio of the sides of 2 squares is 3 to 1, what is the ratio of their perimeters? So we're told that the ratio of their sides is 3 to 1. So to keep this very simple, I'm going to say this side is 3, this side is 1. Clearly that is a ratio of 3 to 1. Now let's talk about finding the perimeters of these squares. Uh, you should know some characteristics of squares, notably that in squares, all the sides are equal. So if one side's 3, all the other sides are going to be 3. How do you find the perimeter of a square? You simply add up all of its sides, 3, 6, 9, 12. So the perimeter of this big square is 12. Again, if one side's 1, all these other sides are going to be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this perimeter is 4. What is the ratio of their perimeters? That's going to be 12 to 4. We can reduce this by a common factor of 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So the ratio of their perimeters is also a 3 to 1. And this would hold true no matter what numbers you put for the side length of these squares. As long as they have a ratio of 3 to 1, they will always reduce to a ratio of perimeters being 3 to 1 as well. Number 10 says the perimeter of a square and a rectangle are the same if the rectangle has a length of 20 centimeters and a width of 12 centimeters. What is the area of a square? So for this one, we're going to need three formulas. We're going to need the formula to find the perimeter of a rectangle. That's 2 times its length plus 2 times its width. You have to know that for this test. We're going to need the formula to find the perimeter of a square. That's going to be 4 times its side length, that is 4s, and the area of a square, which is area equals its side length squared. Well, what are we told about this rectangle? Has a length of 20, so this becomes 2 times 20, and it has a width of 12, so we can plug in 12 for width. Uh, what is its perimeter? 2 times 20 is 40. 40 plus 24 is going to be 64. So we know the perimeter of our rectangle is 64. Well, according to this problem, the perimeter of the square and the rectangle are the same. So I can go ahead and take this 64 and plug it in for the perimeter of this square, which will enable me to divide both sides now by 4 to get s by itself. And what am I going to need s for? I'm going to need s, the side length of the square, to find the area of the square. 64 divided by 4 is going to be 16. All right, so now that I know what s is, I can simply plug it in right here. This becomes 16 squared. 16 times 16 is going to be 256 centimeters squared. So the area of our square is 256 centimeters squared. All right, so that is it for this video. I hope you found it very helpful. If you want to help my channel out, you can do one of two things. You can become a channel member, or you can simply subscribe to it. As always, you're more than welcome to leave feedback in the comments section below. In order to be successful on this test, you really just have to keep practicing. The more you practice, as they say, the better you'll get at something. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose.
こんにちは。